Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
Minute 4, we got Phil. He's on his way out of the studio, and we almost get to the news van in the streets of Pittsburgh, heading to Punxsutawney. We also, most importantly, are introduced to Rita this minute. Continuing from last minute, we had Kenny saying, "If for any reason you don't want to rush back, I can do the 5 tomorrow." Kenny, of course, is probably eager to, just like Phil, he wants a better position, he wants a better job, he wants to do more of the weather coverage. But Phil ain't gonna go for it, you know? Come on, I want to stay an extra second in Punxsutawney, please. This is Phil outright just challenging the gods right here. He's challenging the universe. I don't want to spend more time in Punxsutawney than I have to. He's gonna do his report in the morning at 7:20, and then he's going to get in the car, be back by lunchtime in Pittsburgh, ready to do some more work at the job he hates, because he thinks he's too good for Pittsburgh. But still, he's even more too good for Punxsutawney. So he doesn't want to stay an extra second there. And then we get Kenny introducing, before we can see her, look, Rita thinks it would be a great idea to stay around for some of the other events, get some incredible footage, the people and the fun, the excitement. He's a little like Rita, as we'll learn later, where he's very optimistic about this stuff. He likes it. He would be eager to go to Punxsutawney if they somehow reverse the situation. Phil stayed in Pittsburgh and Kenny went to Punxsutawney. Kenny would have a great time. He would love it. But he doesn't get to, because Phil is the weatherman. He's the guy who's probably on billboards in Pittsburgh. Definitely the guy who's getting commercials in Pittsburgh. And we, at some point here, I forget where it is in his speech, that we cut to Rita. She is introduced the same way Phil was, although not just her hand. She is a whole person. She does have a shadow. She is in front of a blue screen, but we see her whole person, not just her hand. And she is playing with the blue screen while wearing a blue coat. And it's cute. She is introduced in a cute way, and this is, as far as we know, Phil's first impression of her. Probably not. He's probably seen her around, or at least knows who she is, because this isn't her first day. She is a producer. This is her first, well, no. The movie doesn't say this is her first, location gig. That is how it is in the earlier draft, I believe. No, let me rephrase. Backtrack. Rubin's original draft, Rita, it's confusing because there's also this character Tess, who is the one that Phil tries to seduce on what I call date night in the movie, which is when Phil is trying to seduce Rita later. But Rita is Phil's producer, and Phil is the young guy who is new at the job, and Rita has been around a while, and she's cynical, and she keeps wanting him to do better and get things done faster. And I forget which draft it switches. I think it's even by the second revision, because they had Bill Murray attached and knew Phil is not a guy in his early 20s who's just getting to this. He's a guy who's been around a while. And so they put Rita as the new one. Kenny here says you haven't worked with her yet, have you? Implying she is relatively new, but I think she's not. This is definitely not her first day. They're not sending her out on the Punxsutawney job on her first day. Unless Phil is that annoying that no one else wanted to go, which is a possibility. But it seems like Kenny has interacted with her, because he says she's really nice. I think she's going to be a really good producer. You guys are going to have fun. And it's here also that Rita notices that Phil is looking at her. And she's embarrassed, but she's not necessarily ashamed. She's not doing anything wrong. She's just having a good time in front of a blue screen. And we also get that impression that when Phil looks at her, though he's about to say otherwise, I think he likes what he sees. He is intrigued by Rita. She's also one of the girls at the news station that he hasn't flirted with yet. Hasn't asked out on a date. And at first glance, she is a little too clean and wholesome. Like later he will call her princess. That his first impulse is probably not to ask her out. I think he thinks he means what he's about to say when he tells Kenny, she's fun, but not my kind of fun. Actually, no, let me get his line right. She's fun, but not my kind of fun. I will be here for the 5. The implication also being that it would depend on whether he thought Rita was fun, is whether or not he would stick around in Punxsutawney longer to have their kind of fun. I think Phil only thinks, not just only thinks of himself, but outside of work and doing the other events, what would he have to do? Is he going to do commentary on each of the events? Or are they just going to get like B-roll? Because I would guess it'd be B-roll of the other events. And at most, he'd do some voiceover for back at the studio. So he doesn't even have to worry about this stuff. But Kenny's bringing it up. Phil has to comment. He has to say something, and he's Phil. He's going to say something negative. This whole studio sequence was filmed last. After they filmed the rest of the movie, they had to give us day 0. They had to show us what is Phil like before he gets to Punxsutawney. We could get an idea of who Phil is just from day 1, see him waking up in Punxsutawney at the start of the film, and we'd still get a good idea of who he is, but it's useful to give the audience this. You can have fun with in media res beginning for a time loop, and Rubin's original started way into the time loop, and Phil has been doing it so long that he doesn't even remember why he keeps hitting Ned. But starting it earlier is good for a audience-friendly, family-friendly comedy that is mainstream and is going to do well at the box office. It's going to be remembered for decades. Had they made something closer to Rubin's original, I don't think it would be as beloved as it is. That being said, if someone wanted to do a weird sort of a Gus Van Sant remaking Psycho shot for shot kind of thing and actually film Rubin's original, it could be interesting. Except there's all that voiceover that I complain about a lot in the blog, and you don't want to keep that. Although you have to if you're going to do that. So don't do that experiment. No one do that experiment. Don't make Rubin's original. No offense, Danny. I love your script, even with its flaws, and I love how it became this, and you are still credited. You are still important in the writing of the second revision, the third revision, the final revision, along with Harold Ramis and with input from Murray. And it's great. And I love your other 2 scripts that got produced. Both of them. More than some people, I think. Some people don't even remember SFW, and I love that movie. But to end out minute 4, we do a not that great dissolve. Camera pans over to the monitor. The monitor is showing an aerial view of Pittsburgh. I'm not sure why this monitor would actually be showing this right this moment. Unless this is their return from commercials already, when it's been less than a minute. I don't think the commercial break's over. Nowadays, you could do this really nicely because you just wouldn't have anything on the monitor, and you could just superimpose your footage exactly so that the transition is seamless. Instead, we get the aerial shot is on the monitor, and as we zoom into it, it transitions to the aerial shot itself. It doesn't line up exactly. It doesn't line up perfectly. But it's 1993 when this movie comes out, so who cares? And we are seeing Pittsburgh. If we aren't familiar with Pittsburgh, this is the Three Rivers area. You got a stadium on the side. Now there are, I believe, 2 stadiums there, or one was demolished and another one was built. I forget if there's 2 or if they got rid of one and they added another. Up on the right, you can't see it, but the hill rises up. There's 2 famous inclined trains that take you up and down that hill to Mount Washington. And down in the middle, great little city that is surprisingly quiet for a big city. I've been there a lot. My father grew up near Pittsburgh, and my wife is from Pittsburgh. So, been there as recently as a few years ago. Well, I guess it's more than a few now. You don't need to know the specific years. What are you going to do? Go track me down with your time machine? Anyway, minute 4 gets us out of the news studio. We're heading for Pittsburgh, or we're heading to the exterior of Pittsburgh. We're already in Pittsburgh, and we're going to follow the van out, but not till next minute. We also get, before I go, the start of the, I was going to say title song, but it's not called Groundhog Day. It's called Weatherman, but it is the quote-unquote title song. Written for the movie, performed by George Fenton. I believe lyrics written by George Fenton and Harold Ramis together, but it is written for this movie and it goes here. And we'll get into the lyrics of that next minute. Until then, watch more movies.
Knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?